All right, so today let's dive into something I think we can all relate to,
Okay.
relationships. Specifically the idea of effortless relationships.
Oh, effortless
Well, I mean,
relationship.
who wouldn't want that, right? A
Right.
relationship that just flows,
Yeah.
no drama,
Ah,
no stress. Sounds pretty dreamy.
it does sound pretty dreamy.
That's what we're exploring today.
Okay.
We're taking a deep dive into a YouTube video
Okay.
by Dr. Orion Taraban from his channel psycax.
Psycax, okay.
The video is titled How to Have Effortless Relationships with Women,
Okay.
the advice you wish your dad gave you.
Oh, wow, that's quite a title.
Quite a title.
So what's the secret?
What?
What's the magic formula for achieving this relationship, Nirvana?
Dr. Taraban starts off with an analogy I think is pretty clever.
Okay.
He compares effortless relationships to water flowing downhill.
Okay.
It's smooth, natural, it just happens.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
So,
It speaks to the idea of ease of things naturally falling into place.
right.
But what does that actually look like in a relationship?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
It's easy to get caught up in the imagery.
Right.
But what are the practical elements that create this downhill flow?
Yeah, that's where I think it gets interesting.
Okay.
Dr. Taraban argues that the key to this effortless dynamic is becoming a woman's perceived best option.
Best option.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the heart of it.
Mm.
But doesn't that sound a bit, well, superficial? Like, are we just talking about
What's I say?
having a flashy car and a six-pack?
It's easy to jump to that conclusion.
Right.
But Dr. Taraban digs a little deeper
Okay.
than that.
Okay.
He emphasizes the importance of cultivating what he calls an emotionally compelling lifestyle.
Okay. That sounds a bit more nuanced.
Yeah.
It's not just about
It's not just about outward appearances
outward appearances
or material possessions.
or material possessions.
It's about being interesting, engaging, and yes, physically fit,
Mm-hmm.
but it goes beyond that. It's about offering what he calls high-value experiences,
Okay.
being someone who brings excitement and fulfillment
Mm.
to the relationship.
So it's about becoming someone a woman would genuinely feel lucky to be with,
Exactly.
not just someone she settles for.
Exactly. And to illustrate this point,
Okay.
Dr. Taraban uses another analogy
Okay.
that I think many of us can relate to the job analogy.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Think about it.
Okay.
We've all had those jobs that were just awful.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible boss.
Yeah.
Soul-crushing work. No appreciation.
I've been there.
You'd do anything to escape that situation.
Oh, tell me about it. I once had this job where, actually, never mind.
Yeah.
That's a story for another deep dive.
Right.
But yes, bad jobs are something we've all experienced.
Right. And on the flip side, imagine landing that dream job.
Oh, yeah.
The one with amazing pay, great benefits, supportive colleagues, work you actually enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that, would you?
Not a chance. I'd be going above and beyond, making sure I was indispensable.
Exactly. And that's how Dr. Taraban suggests women will act if you become their dream job in relationship form.
Interesting. So if you embody those qualities, if you are that incredibly high-value partner,
Yeah.
the woman will naturally want to invest in the relationship and avoid rocking the boat.
That's the idea.
Okay.
It becomes less about one person chasing the other and more about a mutual appreciation of the value each person brings to the relationship.
Okay, so far so good, but let's get specific here. What does this effortless dynamic actually look like in practice?
Well, Dr. Taraban paints a pretty specific picture.
Okay.
He says that in an effortless relationship, the woman will be sweet as pie,
Okay.
putting in effort, being sexually available, gentle, patient, and easygoing.
Okay, now I have to admit,
Yeah.
this is where I start to get a little skeptical.
Yeah.
It all sounds a bit too good to be true.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, a little one-sided.
I understand your hesitation. It's easy to interpret this as one person always giving while the other just receives.
Exactly. And is that really what a healthy, balanced relationship looks like?
To be fair to Dr. Taraban,
Okay.
he emphasizes that this dynamic should be rooted in mutual respect
Okay.
and a genuine desire to contribute to the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
not in one person being dominant or the other being subservient.
Okay, that's an important distinction. So it's not about one person having all the power or the other being a pushover.
Right.
It's about a shared understanding of each other's value.
That's how he presents it.
All right, that makes sense. But let's flip the script for a moment.
Okay.
What happens if things aren't effortless?
Yeah.
What if you're putting in the effort, trying to be the best option, but the relationship still feels like an uphill battle?
That's where things get even more interesting and perhaps a bit more controversial. Well, according to Dr. Taraban,
Okay.
if a woman is being difficult, distant, or demanding,
Mm-hmm.
it's likely because she believes she could do better. Basically, she doesn't see you as your best option.
So he's saying, like, if she's not head over heels
Yeah.
and just, like, super into it, it's because she thinks she can do better.
That's his take.
Okay.
And it's certainly something to think about.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if that's always the case.
Yeah.
I mean, relationships are complex.
Right.
Are there ever times when a woman might behave that way for reasons that had nothing to do with her partner's value?
Right. What about things like communication issues
Yeah.
or just basic incompatibility?
Yeah.
Those can definitely lead to conflict,
For sure.
even if both partners are genuinely trying their best.
Absolutely. And what about external factors?
Right.
Things like stress at work, family issues,
Right.
or even societal pressures.
Yeah.
Those can all take a toll on a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how high value either partner might be.
So maybe attributing all relationship challenges to one person not being good enough
Yeah.
is a bit of an oversimplification.
I think so. It's important to remember that relationships are a two-way street.
Right.
Both partners have a responsibility to communicate their needs, work through conflicts constructively, and support each other through tough times.
And let's not forget about the importance of shared values and life goals.
Right.
You can be the most emotionally compelling person in the world.
Yeah.
But if you and your partner aren't on the same page about what you want out of life,
Right.
that's going to create friction.
It's like trying to fit two puzzle pieces together that just don't match.
Right.
No matter how hard you try,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah. So while I appreciate Dr. Taraban's emphasis on self-improvement,
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's crucial to consider all these other factors as well.
Yeah.
Reducing relationship dynamics to a simple equation of
Yeah.
become the best option and everything will be effortless
Right.
feels a bit too simplistic.
I agree. It's also worth acknowledging that Dr. Taraban's perspective is focused specifically on heterosexual relationships from a male perspective. His advice might not resonate with everyone
Right.
or apply to different relationship dynamics.
That's an important point. Relationship advice, even from experts,
Yeah.
should always be taken with a grain of salt and considered within the context of your own unique circumstances and values.
Yeah.
What works for one person might not work for another.
And that brings us back to a key question.
Okay.
Can relationships truly be effortless?
Yeah.
Or is that a misleading concept?
I'm leaning towards the latter. It seems like the idea of an effortless relationship sets unrealistic expectations
Yeah.
and might even lead to people overlooking some crucial aspects of what it takes to build a healthy, lasting connection.
I tend to agree. It's like expecting a garden to flourish without any weeding or watering.
Right.
Sure, some plants might be more resilient than others,
Yeah.
but all relationships require nurturing and attention.
And sometimes that nurturing involves navigating challenges and
Yeah.
working through difficult emotions together.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be easy
Right.
or feel effortless.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it.
Yeah.
In fact, those moments of shared struggle can often strengthen the bond between partners as long as they're approached with empathy
Right.
and a willingness to learn and grow together.
So maybe instead of striving for effortlessness,
Yeah.
we should be focusing on building resilience and developing the skills to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of relationships
Yeah.
with grace and understanding.
I think that's a much more realistic and ultimately more rewarding approach.
Okay, so we've poked some holes in Dr. Taraban's theory, but I do think there's a nugget of wisdom in his best option concept.
Yeah.
Striving to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Both for your own benefit and for the benefit of your partner is never a bad thing, right?
Absolutely. Investing in personal growth,
Right.
pursuing your passions,
Yeah.
and creating a life that you find fulfilling can make you a more attractive and desirable partner. But more importantly, it enriches your own life and makes you a more well-rounded individual.
It's not about trying to win someone over or manipulate them into seeing you as their best option.
Right.
It's about becoming someone who brings genuine value to the relationship
Yeah.
and is capable of building a strong, healthy connection based on mutual respect, shared values, and open communication.
And those qualities are attractive to anyone,
Right.
regardless of whether they subscribe to Dr. Taraban's theory or not.
All right, so let's bring it back to you, our listener.
Okay.
We've thrown a lot of information your way, and
Yeah.
we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever experienced this best option dynamic in your own relationships?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's a flawed concept?
Take a moment to reflect on your own experiences and consider what effortlessness really means to you in the context of relationships.
Right.
What are the essential ingredients for a fulfilling and lasting connection?
Mhm.
We're right here when you're ready to dive back in. Welcome back.
Welcome back. I hope you had a chance to ponder some of those questions.
Yeah. Because we've been exploring some pretty thought-provoking ideas about relationships
Yeah, we have.
and this whole concept of effortlessness.
It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about.
We've certainly challenged some assumptions along the way, haven't we?
We have, but I think that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Yeah.
It's not about blindly accepting someone else's perspective,
Right.
but rather using it as a springboard for our own critical thinking.
Absolutely. And it's about recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all answer
Right.
when it comes to relationships.
So true. And I think it's easy to get caught up in these grand theories or formulas for relationship success, but ultimately it comes down to individual compatibility communication and a willingness to put in the work.
Yeah. The work doesn't have to feel like a chore, though, does it?
Right. And I think that's where Dr. Taraban's emphasis on self-improvement comes in.
Yeah.
Even if we don't fully agree with his best option framework.
Right. The idea of investing in ourselves and creating a fulfilling life is something we can all get behind.
Absolutely. It's about becoming the kind of person who brings something positive to the table,
Right.
who is capable of giving and receiving love in a healthy way.
Mm.
And that's attractive, regardless of whether you're looking for a partner or not.
Absolutely. It's about personal growth and self-discovery as much as it is about relationships.
Yeah.
So even if the effortless relationship is a bit of a myth, the pursuit of personal fulfillment is definitely a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah. And that pursuit might lead you to someone who shares your values
Mm-hmm.
and complements your life in a way that feels easy and natural.
Maybe that's the real effortless connection.
Yeah.
Finding someone who you just click with,
Yeah.
who you can be yourself around without feeling like you have to constantly prove your worth or try to fit into some predetermined mold.
Someone who celebrates your strengths and supports you through your weaknesses.
Right.
Someone who challenges you to grow, but also accepts you for who you are.
Now, that's a relationship worth striving for.
Yeah.
And while it might not always be effortless, it's definitely worth the effort.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, hit us with it.
Dr. Taraban focuses on the individual's role in creating an effortless relationship.
Mm.
But what about the role of external factors?
Good point. We're talking societal expectations, cultural norms, economic realities, all those things that shape our relationship experiences.
Exactly. It's worth considering how these external forces might influence our perceptions of effort and ease in relationships.
Yeah, because maybe, just maybe, the pursuit of a perfectly effortless relationship is a bit of a red herring.
Right.
Perhaps it's more about accepting that relationships, like itself, are a mix of smooth sailing and choppy waters.
And that navigating those waters together, supporting each other through the storms and celebrating the moments of calm is what ultimately makes the journey worthwhile.
Well said. And with that thought-provoking note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into effortless relationships.
We hope this episode has given you plenty to ponder.
It has for me.
And maybe even inspired you to view your own relationships through a new lens.
If this deep dive sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to explore Dr. Taraban's other videos or delve deeper into the world of relationship dynamics.
Remember, there's no one right answer when it comes to love and relationships.
Right.
The most important thing is to be true to yourself, communicate openly and honestly, and never stop learning and growing.
Until next time, keep diving deep, friends.